Good afternoon. Happy Friday evening. I pray all of you are safe and sound and taking precautions. I'm going to touch base on three different things today. Number one, I want to readdress antibody testing. Antibody testing, also known as serology testing, is when we draw your blood to test for antibodies. Antibodies would be present in your blood if you were exposed to or if you had the illness of COVID-19 or the virus called SARS-CoV-2. Who should get tested? Well, there's debate on that, right? And we talked about that earlier a couple lectures ago. I'm offering it in my office now because so many of my patients are requesting it, and I'm not against anyone being tested, but I'm educating them to let them know that we don't know what to do with the results. A positive antibody test will show that you were exposed to it or that you had the illness. But just because you have the antibodies, we don't know if that confers immunity, meaning we don't know if that means you can't get it again. And if it does confer immunity so that you are somewhat protected, we don't know if that protection is complete, and we don't know how long that protection lasts. So the purpose of getting tested right now would only be more curiosity, number one. And number two, if you do test positive and you have an opportunity to donate your serum to assist in development of vaccines, that's another good altruistic reason to get your antibodies tested. In our office, we are testing for IgA, IgM, and IgG. It is a blood test. It takes anywhere from 2 to 5 days to come back. And it is beneficial for people to know if they were exposed to it or not in the past. Okay. Number two, vitamin D has been hitting the news recently. Apparently, people who had worse cases of the disease from COVID-19 and people who died from COVID-19 around the world, many of those people showed that they were low on vitamin D, or they had a level of vitamin D in their blood that was below normal levels. It's important to note that this is an association and not necessarily a reason why they suffered with COVID-19 worse than other people. So it's important to note that association is not causation, meaning that we don't know what it means that some patients who did poorly with COVID-19 had a low vitamin D. So this is not a time where everyone should start taking a lot of vitamin D to help prevent COVID-19. It is important, however, just generally, to make sure that you have a normal vitamin D level just for your routine health, your general health. We test our patients for their vitamin D level by blood work, and if it's not within normal range, then we supplement. If you have a vitamin D in normal range, it would not be a good idea to overtake vitamin D. If you have higher levels than normal in your bloodstream, that can lead to other diseases and could be very serious. So you do not want to overdose on vitamin D. So based on the news coming out, if you're concerned about your vitamin D level, please contact your physician. Your physician's office will either let you know what your vitamin D level is from previous lab work. We'll draw that vitamin D if you request it and discuss it further. But under no circumstances should everybody just overdose on vitamin D or take very high levels of vitamin D, because it could be very dangerous. The third thing I want to bring up is something that's been hitting the news this week, is a pediatric illness called pediatric multisystem inflammatory syndrome. It is a rare situation, it's a rare syndrome where children have shown signs of a disease that appear similar to another disease that we know about, that is another rare disease called Kawasaki disease. The issue with this, though, is that these children have either shown that they were positive for the antibody to COVID-19, meaning that they were exposed to it, or that they indeed were with somebody in their family who had COVID-19. Many children that have this illness were exposed to COVID-19 or had the disease itself weeks ago. And so this seems to be a late manifestation of the exposure to COVID-19. We're not certain that it is directly associated with COVID-19, but if it is, it means that this virus is either mutated, where it may affect children now, or it is just another strain of the virus that is now coming into certain areas in our country and around the world. So my understanding today is that there are around about 70 cases in New York. There have been cases reported in Atlanta, Georgia, and there are cases in other parts of the country and the world. It's something that I'll be watching and reporting to you as more information comes about. But once again, this is something that we all should be very concerned about. I've stated to you, because it was the facts then, that this virus, although can infect children, it wasn't affecting children. If it's proven that this is a subset of a disease of COVID-19, well, those facts then have changed. And we need to go back to the original plans of sheltering in place. And when you don't shelter in place, when you can't shelter in place, when you need to go shopping, for example, then please make sure you wear facial coverings if you're within several feet of anyone else, so that you're not spreading this virus. We're not done with this virus. We don't have a vaccine and we don't have treatment. In some places in the world, the number of cases right now are going down. And in some places in this world, and some places in this country, the United States, the cases are either plateauing or even increasing. If you're going outside and are not concerned at all about COVID-19, if you're going into stores and you're not concerned about COVID-19, then I'm worried that you don't get it. I'm worried that you don't understand it. We have a virus that we have no vaccine for, that we have no treatment for, that can mutate, that we don't understand why it kills some people and some people just are asymptomatic carriers. Some are even called super spreaders because the virus just lingers in them, their immune system doesn't clear it, and they just keep spreading it around and spreading it around. And they don't even know they have it. They don't even know they're spreading it around. There's a lot we don't understand about this virus. Please know that precautions still are necessary, still are important. Please get your medical information about this from the medical community, from your doctors, from doctors who are sharing information. The politicians mean well, but the information coming through the news is not always correct. The information from social media is frequently wrong. As a community physician, I, for one, am very concerned about this virus because we don't understand it and it's changing. I will keep you informed on a nightly basis, as I've been doing the last few weeks. I pray all of you are well and have a safe weekend. And I look forward to talking to you again on Monday. Have a great weekend. Thanks, everybody.